your forecast first. Sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Well, we've had a lot of snow shower activity. Hesitate to call it that. It's actually been flurries that have really been kind of kicked up by some of the wind, and it's from some of the lake effect snow here. Those are starting to fade away, and we'll be done with this snow. But more is on the way later this week, so get ready as the wintry weather will be continuing. Still pretty cold tonight. 22s from Champaign over to Springfield, 23 in Effingham, but with the wind, feels like the teens. Bundle up if you're heading out tonight as our temperatures stay cool. Our forecasting readings back down into the teens again to start out tomorrow morning. While we will see a return of sunshine on Tuesday, the end of the week, again, brings more snow. We'll talk about that in the forecast coming up. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now on WCIA 3 News.
Hundreds of non-citizens were registered to vote in Illinois. How election authorities are responding with a primary just 57 days away. That's coming up.
Senator Tammy Duckworth wants answers from Amtrak. Why it was set to charge $25,000 for tickets.
Should be a lot of fun.
We are just 3 months away from race weekend, and now the Illinois Marathon has a new event that almost anyone can do.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 6.
You have to be a U.S. citizen to be able to vote in this country.
But hundreds of non-citizens were registered to vote in Illinois. Good evening. I'm Paul Cicchini.
And I'm Jennifer Roscoe. The Secretary of State's office admitted it made a mistake and allowed hundreds of non-U.S. citizens onto the voter rolls. The State Board of Elections is working to track down the individual voters and notify them and the local authorities. Our Capitol Bureau Chief Mark Maxwell is live at the Capitol tonight. And Mark, the Illinois primary is less than 2 months away.
And Jennifer, if this applies to you, you may have received a letter in the mail, a non-citizen, if you were registered to vote, that warns you do not do so. To vote would be a deportable offense, a felony that is strictly against the law. Even though Illinois is a welcoming state, state law tells non-citizens you can come here, you can move around, you can shop, you can get a job. In fact, local law enforcement won't even tell the feds you're here, and in some cases will help your children get assistance with health insurance. But when it comes to voting, that's a strict violation. You have to be a U.S. citizen. Today, a spokesman for the State Board of, or for the Secretary of, for the State Board of Elections, rather, tells me, quote, "We do know that some of those 574 people voted in 2018, so potential repercussions still yet to come." Now, these were not undocumented people. That's an important distinction. They were not here in the country illegally. Many of them may have had a green card or a visa, but when they went to sign up for a driver's license at a Secretary of State's location, the new automatic voter registration system in Illinois signed them up to vote.
The non-citizens can have driver's licenses in the state of Illinois. A driver's license is a key tool in registering someone to vote. Oftentimes it's your driver's license that is one of the two documents to be used to verify that you're a resident and a citizen.
This was an isolated case that impacted less than 0.1% of the people registered through automatic voter registration. As soon as the programming error was discovered, it was fixed, and the individuals were notified, including the Illinois State Board of Elections and the local election authorities.
Some 600,000 people have been automatically registered to vote in Illinois since July of 2018. It's important to point out these non-citizens who were registered to vote, they were honest on their form. There's no indication they lied or tried to cheat the system to register to vote. In fact, the system was what failed. The automatic registration form put their name on those voter rolls. It's unclear at this time if ICE, or the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, may be investigating any of these cases. Remember, today a federal and government holiday. We don't yet know exactly how many of these 574 non-citizens may have voted. The State Board of Elections expects to get us that answer tomorrow. The Secretary of State's office, of course, trying to minimize the fallout, saying it's only a small sliver of people here. But remember, in Macon County, Jennifer, we saw an election decided by just one vote in 2018.
The sheriff's race, and that's still being argued about. And Mark, I guess I'm wondering, how did they realize something was wrong?
My understanding is that there was a blogger, actually, who filed a FOIA. There was some fallout, and so just in the last few days, House Republicans received this information. The Secretary of State's office sent a letter to the State Board of Elections admitting the error, and House Republicans are now calling for hearings and accountability from the Secretary of State, Jesse White.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fallout from this. All right, keep us informed. We know you will. Thank you so much. Now, roughly 80% of the non-citizens who were registered to vote in Illinois were in Chicago and the surrounding counties. There were 7 people in Champaign County, 7 in Macon County, that's why that's important, and just 1 in Sangamon County. Lawmakers are stepping in after a group of Amtrak riders were told they would have to pay $25,000 for a trip from Chicago to Bloomington.
Yeah, that one-way coach seat costs about $16, but when a disability advocacy group tried to book their tickets, they were told it was going to cost $25,000 instead. NPR reported an agent told the group it was because the train to Bloomington only had 3 spaces for wheelchairs. 5 passengers with wheelchairs were planning to make the trip. The agent told the group the cost would be $25,000 because additional seats would have to be removed. In the past, Amtrak would absorb the cost, but the agent said policy changed last year. The company told the group it could avoid the fees by taking 2 separate trains. 2 of the passengers chose to go in a van. The other 3 would buy the $16 tickets to Bloomington. Senator Tammy Duckworth, who also uses a wheelchair, responded today saying in part, quote, "The Americans with Disabilities Act has been the law of the land for 30 years. Yet in 2020, Amtrak believes it would be an unreasonable burden to remove architectural barriers that would enable a group with 5 wheelchair users to travel together." Duckworth went on to say she is requesting a meeting with Amtrak's CEO to talk about absorbing costs to redesign rail cars to accommodate a group of wheelchair users. State police shut down part of I-74 in Champaign for a crash. It happened near the 7457 interchange this afternoon. Here's video from our Sky 3 drone. State police say a car abruptly tried to turn into the median crossover. Another car stopped to avoid getting into a crash, but a third car rear-ended them. The first car left the scene. Police are still looking for that driver.
State police are investigating a crash in Christian County from this morning. Check out this picture. Police say it happened because of distracted driving. The truck landing squarely on its roof. Luckily, the driver was wearing a seatbelt and wasn't hurt. State police are investigating after an Edgar County woman was found dead over the weekend. 45-year-old Neva Martin was found outside a home in rural Crispin Saturday morning. No word yet on the cause of her death. She was the assistant administrator at Brookstone Estates. That's a senior living facility in Paris.
Here's a follow-up now. Champaign police need help identifying a bank robbery suspect. It happened at First Midwest Bank on West Springfield Avenue and Prospect on the morning of January 10th. Police say this woman went in implying she had a weapon and demanding money. Even though she has long black hair in the pictures, police believe it was a wig. She left in a silver sedan. Police learned it was stolen. If you have any information about what happened, you're asked to contact Crime Stoppers. People living in Paris could soon have a new opportunity.
A big employer there, Grain Systems Incorporated, is planning an expansion that would add 50 jobs. WCIA3's Courtney Bunting is joining us now live from the newsroom. So what kind of jobs are going to be added?
Well, Jennifer, GSI manufactures steel storage bins, so these would be welding and labor-intensive kinds of jobs. Now, the expansion would add 150,000 square feet to the campus that exists now, but would require building over an existing road, and that costs money. So the city is applying for a community development block grant from the state. Now, this grant is worth more than $900,000.
Anytime that you're adding 50 new jobs, when you hear about other places that are losing, well, it's a good thing for the city of Paris and the surrounding area. Perfect economic development to facilitate further change in Paris.
GSI cannot move forward with the expansion until the city gets that block grant. That's because the city can't afford to make these infrastructure changes without that funding. Now, the city will hear back about the grant in March. GSI employs about 110 people already, but again, if this grant is not approved, that expansion likely won't happen, the plan is to add 50 jobs through that expansion. Live in the newsroom, Courtney Bunting, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
Yeah, more jobs good. All right, thank you so much. Now, this expansion would go west of the existing GSI facility, would be built over Stratton Drive. Then the two buildings would be attached. A music store that's been around for decades is closing. Skins and Tins opened in Champaign in 1989. The owners say they were the first and only drum shop in Champaign. And after years of working, they're ready to retire. The owners say their final day will be January 31st.
We've got to that point where we want to retire. It has nothing to do with the business or anything like that. It's just wanting to be done. Everybody reaches that age, and you just want to be on your own schedule for the rest of your life. So that's pretty much where we're at.
That sounds like a plan. Now they are having a sale, of course. They're hoping the community will come out and support them before they leave.
It was a day to honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., where people went to remember this civil rights leader.
And also tonight,
we want to have activities for everybody to be able to do.
race weekend just got bigger. What Illinois Marathon officials have added to put more runners on the road.
And as we look outside on the Roofing Dog iNet Bradshaw weather camera, looking down at Neil and Green here in Champaign. It was a cold one. Started at 11 this morning. Only made it to 24 for the high temperature. More of that cold is on the way. We've got temperatures actually getting back to normal, though, and we'll talk about wintry weather in the forecast again next.